Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it is time for a video. So let me do a little bit of computer work over here to the left to be sure that I'm actually transmitilating. All right, it appears that I am. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit so it's in your screen a little bit better, and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so here is our card for today. This is what I gave you the sneak peek of. I hope you are ready for one that's going to be, I think, a favorite, because the Sunflower 3D embossing folder, everybody is using it. It has just kind of been a big favorite, which is probably why it's currently sold out. So it's going to be back around the middle of August, so fear not. If you have not already purchased it, it will be back. Hello, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming. All right. So this is an embossed piece, and we've done some inking. This is actually called the carved wood technique. It looks like it's carved on a piece of wood. And I saw this, there's actually several of them out there, but I kind of took a look at Jennifer Roque's. I'm not sure I'm saying her name right. It's Rocque. She's a demonstrator, and she did a nice video, and it made me fall in love with this even more. Then I needed a sentiment, and because I'm a little bit ate up about having stuff on the inside of my cards and on my envelope, I needed an image, and the Coneflower Celebrations was bingo, bango, the perfect thing. So I got myself a thank you sentiment and this really cute little butterfly. All right, so this will all be on my blog tomorrow. You do not even need to take notes or nothing. And I've done a little bit of pre-work for you so that you aren't going to be here like 6.5 days. Let me get it out here though. Okay, so I have a piece of basic white cardstock. It's 3 3/4 by 5, so it's a little bit smaller than my normal card fronts, and I just embossed it in the 3D embossing folder straight up. When you have this panel, you're going to have two sides. The side that is embossed, it has the flowers raised. Okay, so this panel here had the flowers raised, and then I colored them, so you can see how that is. On the other side, the flowers are depressed or debossed, and that is the side that we're going to be working with today. All right, so we're going to turn it so that the debossed side is up, and we are going to use 4 different colors of ink pads. Okay, we're going to start with the lightest color and go up to the darkest color. Okay, so our first one is Crumb Cake. And when you're doing this, you'll see you have two. You're going to want to, I prefer to use the short edge to scrape, because that is a little easier for me to hold. I guess you could do this, but then you got all that there. This front edge has the least amount of case that you have to try to get past. Okay, so I highly recommend you use this forward edge. And all you're going to do is you're going to kind of hold it almost flat and then just scrape it along the panel. Okay? And you can turn your panel around so that you can get a good coverage. Now, you are going to get ink in these flowers, but that's okay, because this is carved wood. So it isn't like just this part's wood and this part is not. It's all going to be wood. Okay? So once we're done with the crumb cake, I'll put that aside. My next color is pecan pie, or pecan, or however you say it. Pecan is the only correct way, but you're welcome to say pecan if you like. And we're just going to do the same and then add that color. And I really like how that worked. You see that, where you've got that, those lines? I think that makes it look even more like wood. Okay, so I'm not going to get too much more on there. And my next one is going to be Cajun Craze. Now, when I watched Jackie's, I think it's Jackie, I just forgot. Sorry, my bad. It'll be in my blog tomorrow. She mentioned that you could use this or not. By using this, you add a little bit of red, so now maybe we're looking at a cherry wood. So I thought that was kind of cool, and that's what I did. Okay. That. And then our last color is going to be Early Espresso. And I am going to be pretty light with it, okay? Because I don't want to darken too far down. So I'm really not pressing. I'm just letting the weight of the ink pad put the color on. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. All right, and now, I meant all I'm gonna do with that particular method. Now, I'm going to color my flowers. I'm going to color them in Timid Tiger and Crushed Curry. I'm going to use sponge daubers for that. All right, and let's see, let's have this big one be Crushed Curry. And you just kind of want to go easy. Remember, you can always put more on. Really hard to take it off. Pay attention to where is leaves, where is petals. It's just a matter of taking your time a little bit. Okay, here's one right here, so we'll get a little bit of that crushed curry in there. And the truth of the matter is, it's a pretty forgiving thing, especially with these colors. If you happen to get a little bit of the crushed curry where you're going to put Timid Tiger, is it going to matter? Nope, not a bit. So don't get too worried about it if it isn't perfect. All right, and you can make this as dark or as light as you want. I kind of wanted them definitely yellow. Okay, so I'm going to take a little time and put a little bit of color on here. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's see. Let's also do, let's do this one down here as crushed curry too, shall we? And then we can, I'll put in a couple of ones in Timid Tiger, and we'll see if we want to make another one crushed curry once I get it going. This one's kind of got its petals folded up, so be sure you're paying attention to where the petals are. See, these are petals right here to that flower, so you want to get them colored the same color. All right, there we go. Well, I'll tell you what, it is hot as a moe here. It's like 92 and the feels like is 98, which is still not as hot as it is up in the Northeast, but it's pretty uncomfortable. I'm just not going to tell you a tale. It's not very pleasant. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and switch up to my Timid Tiger. The young lady is fine. She does have, she's banged her leg, so she's got a swollen leg. Let me tell you, here's the thing about horses. I promise you they spend 24 hours, or well, let's say maybe they do sleep a little bit. So let's say 22 hours and 48 minutes of every day thinking of ways that they can injure themselves just because it's fun and, you know, cause you to have a vet bill. So she has managed to wrap her cannon bone, that's between her ankle and her knee, on well, front and back, they have them, but she's done the front. So now we're doing Butte, which is like aspirin. And so it's kind of an anti-inflammatory and a pain med. And she's getting ice boots on twice a day for 15 or 20 minutes. I think she just likes the attention, my personal self. But they do. Horses can find something to do to injure themselves without even blinking. I mean, it's just kind of insane how they do. All right, so I'm getting these little petals right here. And you know what? Let's put this guy in some Timid Tiger too. I'm pretty sure there's orange. I'm pretty sure there's orange sunflowers. I've seen them. I've seen them. If they're not, we're calling it creative license. It's my card, and I'm gonna do what I want. All right, now let's see. Let's do this one in the Timid Tiger as well. And then we'll do some Mossy Meadow on the leaves, and that'll be really pretty much it. We'll just add a sentiment, and we'll be done. All right, have I missed any petals? I don't think so, but we'll be able to tell better once I get the leaves going. So I'm going to pull out my Mossy Meadow, get my Mossy Meadow Dauber. 49. I am pretty, unless that's not centigrade, right? You're talking Fahrenheit, right? Yeah, okay. Julie, feels like 96. Yeah, it's just really quite warm, and I am ready for fall. I think that must be the reason I did these fall colors. I'm ready for fall. Really am. That looks like a leaf, and I got some tiger on it. That's all right. We'll fix him up. got a little carried away there. Little splotch, but I think that's going to end up, when you're using daubers, don't be like me. Do a little bit off to get that initial blob gone, and you'll be a lot happier. It's a very kind of a casual way to make a card, right? Kind of a casual look. So don't get too hit. Don't get hit, my peeps. Do not get hit. There's no hitage. This is supposed to be fun. And you know what? If you hate it at the end, set it aside. Do something different with it. Cut out the sunflower that you do like and use it on something else. I'm just saying. And do another one. That's how that works. Okay. So I think I have everything colored there. I'm going to use a little bit of crushed curry and pecan pie on the centers. So I'm just going to kind of go like that. I haven't added a lot of ink to my dauber here because it had quite a bit on it. And then let's get my, where's my pecan pie guy? Come here, pecan pie. Come on, don't be shy. Thank you, Cindy. There you go. Pretend it's cool. That's a good idea, Joanne. That's a good idea. All right, so we'll just add some of that pecan pie to kind of quiet down the yellow and make you think about sunflower seeds. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I don't see anything uncolored that should be colored. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. Now, I am using a Timid Tiger matte. And what I'm going to do first is close up all my ink pads because I've got way too many ink pads open right now. There are things going to be bad here in just a second. Ink catastrophe. Okay, now on my mat, I am going to stamp my front sentiment, which is thank you, right in the middle. And then I'm going to use my Stylish Shapes die to cut that out. Okay, I'll be right back. Right back, right back, right back. I'll be right back. You're probably thinking to yourself, Self, why didn't she do that ahead of time? And I'm going to say, I don't know. I don't know. Whoops, that's crookedy. Crookedy, crookedy's no goody. Crookedy's no good. All right, there we go. All right. Now, this is a way that you can save a little cardstock. Use your mat. Nobody's going to see it. If you use a mat on your inner liner, I would not cut anything out of it because it's going to make it really weird for writing. Okay, but for your front, you can absolutely do that. Okie doke. Oh, Susan, you're sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so we're just going to use some liquid glue. Liquid glue is, I mean, you know, even if it wasn't my favorite, which it is, of course, as you well know, it's really good for this deep embossing because it kind of squishes up into the nooks and the crannies. The deep embossing is kind of like an English muffin. Lots of nooks and crannies. Now let's see. I think we'll make this be upright, don't you? Let's do that. Okay. Okie dokie. I got a sunburn walking to the mailbox. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it a bit. See, you'll never even know that that's there because that's going to be on your card front. Okay, now we have our sentiment and it is going to go, we're going to have it up on our, I'm going to do something I don't usually do, and that is I'm going to adhere this to my card front just because it'll facilitate things here in just a second. You could use black dimensionals, but I didn't have any out, and so I'm using white. And I think I've had this conversation. If somebody looks at your card and says, well, I do have some here, says, oh my gosh, this was a beautiful card, but you used white dimensionals, just take the card back very politely and say, I'm sorry, go buy a Hallmark card at the grocery store because you are being silly. Like right here now, I have used black and white mixed. Oh my gosh. Let's see, where did we want that? Yes, we wanted it like this, okay. All right, and you can see I have a little wider border. I wanted it kind of a framed look, but I didn't want to cover up any of my stuff. Okay, now what this is going to do is we're going to put this right here, like that. See, this is why I put my card front on the front of the card base already, because I want to edge that over so it kind of hangs off, but I don't want it to fall off the edge there. That would be bad. Okay, we're going to do a double loop linen thread bow. It's been a while, so I feel like I can do this. I hate to do the same bow every single time. All right, if you don't know how to make a double loop linen thread bow, you're going to use, well, linen thread. It's in the name. Hold the end between your thumb and your forefinger and wrap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull that out. And then you're going to wrap 4 times around 2 fingers. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're going to hold it right there. See, let's get that out. That's going to make a mess. There we go. Where are you? End. There you are. Okay. Going to pull it out, and you'll see what you have here is 2 circles of linen thread. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off like so. Take your 2 circles, straighten them out. Sometimes the linen thread gets a little persnickety. And then, okay, are you ready? I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to turn it over and take a hold of it like that. Except that is just going crazy. It's going crazy. All right, let's see if I can straighten that out a little bit. It'll be easier if I straighten it out. Let's try that again. Look, you get a double whammy of education. So you're going to do 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 2 fingers 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And then pull it off. Keep it all together. Pull it off. And then twist over the top. So you're making it into a figure 8. See that? Figure 8. And then take those tweezers that I know you have and clamp it. Just clamp it right down. Just like that right there. Clamp it right down. Like that. Get another little piece of the linen thread. Stick it under that clamped piece. Have you ever noticed that sometimes linen thread is really twisty? Really twisty. This roll appears to be quite twisty. And then I'm going to do a double overhand knot. Pull it pretty snug, okay? And then you can take it off of your tweezers and then just kind of fix it. Now, the thing you're kind of what did I do here? My goodness, I really borkified that. I did not do that well at all. Huh. Well, you know what this is going to be? It's going to be a not double loop linen thread bow. What have I got here? Let me look at this. My goodness, I have got me a hot mess. I've got me a hot mess. All right, I can't. I got to get it gone. I'm sorry. You know, I have been doing this now for 10 plus years, and I have made approximately 4.8 million of these bows, and it has never done this right here. Not even once. I mean, not even once. Yeah, I was going to try to figure it out, but it's got like 9 loops over here and only 5 over here, and so that's kind of bugging me. That's kind of bugging me. So, you know how I made a big play about make it snug? Well, I did that, and now I have to undo it. Okay, we're going to try that again. What in the world, Mary? And the beginning of the decline is when Mary could not make a double loop linen thread bow with her eyes closed and one hand tied behind her back. That is the beginning of the end. It's all over but the shouting. I've got myself a mess. I'm going to put that aside and use a new piece and play with that later so you don't have to watch it the whole time. None of those words was working. Okay, now look, linen thread, you and I are going to talk. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now, keep yourself together. Don't be persnickety. If you heard me say, you've heard me use the phrase, the perversity of an inanimate object. Okay. Now, you see and I see that I have 2 bows. There we go. Okay, this one's good. Shh, don't say that out loud, Mary. I almost said, this is my famous Farrah Fawcett bow. That's the problem. That's why this is so embarrassing. I've made a billion of these. And I mean, I've had some things that were kind of weird, but they were always fixable. And that one just wasn't. That one just wasn't. So I do not know what just happened right there, but let's pretend, I have an idea. Let's pretend I did it on purpose to show you that even people who've been doing it a long time can bork. They can bork. Everybody borks. There's people who have and people who will. Them who has and them who will. And I just did. Okay, so now when you have 2 distinct, a big loop and a little loop on either side, so it looks a little bit like a butterfly, you have the rudiments of a Farrah Fawcett bow. So you can just kind of pull them apart. Golly Moses, that was like pulling teeth, wasn't it? Goodness. You know what? This bow is just not as hard as I made it look like it was. Okay. So, let's get out of my way there. Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to put our sentiment here. So I'm going to put my bow right there. And I do like to use liquid glue. I know, Rocky. I just couldn't. There was nothing I could do. It had to be fixed. I like to use liquid glue because it's a little less dimension than a glue dot. But if you're not a fan of liquid glue and you've already made yourself antsy because you used it on the card front, you can absolutely use a glue dot, okay? Not to worry. You can absolutely do that. Now, we're going to pop this over the top of this bow with double stacked dimensionals, because even with the liquid glue, it's still relatively thick. So I pretty routinely will use double stacked dimensionals. In fact, I'll bet there's double stacked dimensionals on nearly every card I make because I almost always have some kind of a bow. All right, so you just put the first one down and then you double stack it. It's weird because that's the name, double stacked Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay. And then before I take the top off, I'm going to just make sure that I can put that where I want it and not see them. And in fact, I can. So we'll get the lids off. Okay, there's perverse inanimate objects a lot on this card today. Huh. Okay, there we go. Now I'm sitting here wishing I had colored more than one butterfly just so that you wouldn't have to watch it. Okay, so we're going to put that right there. Again, I want it hanging off of the card front, but I don't want it hanging off of the card base. Make sense? Okay, now before you got here, I stamped the little... You did your heat embossing outside on the picnic table. And you didn't even take your heat tool, did you? You just put it out there, right? Good. I stamped this little butterfly in pecan pie and I colored him with the light and dark Cajun Craze blends and the light Timid Tiger. And I'll show you that here in just a second. I didn't think you needed to see me do it 3 times because I have that little butterfly guy on here 3 times. All right, and we're just going to put him right there like that with that liquid glue. And while it's drying, I'll put a few gold metallic gems and our card front will be done. All right, so I'm gonna use a big one and a small one like that. And then out here in the field, I'll use another gold, and I'm going to put him like right there. Okay, so there's our card front. Wood carve, the wood carving technique. Now on the inside, I have just a piece of basic white, and let me put these aside so I'm not fighting them the whole time. I'm going to stamp a second sentiment from Coneflower Celebration. You can leave the sentiment off if you prefer to just have straight thank you, but I kind of like this one. I think it's very cute. And then while I have that out, let's go ahead and stamp our butterfly. Butterfly, butterfly, flying by, oh, butterfly. And I'm going to do it on the front of my envelope while I've got it out. Okay, now we'll go ahead and color. Now I used the light Cajun craze out in the wings and the dark Cajun craze in part of the body, or the body and part of the wings. So we'll just color with the dark Cajun craze here. And you could do whatever you wanted. I even thought, you know, this might not have been it would have been fun because I was trying to keep the colors kind of cohesive, but in real life, you would have those colors of sunflowers, and then you'd have bright yellow butterflies or even bright blue butterflies. I think an azure afternoon butterfly on here would be kind of fun. Now, when you're using your blends on your envelope, don't push down real hard. If you're real ham-handed, which I sometimes can be, slide a piece of window sheet in there, or that thin piece of acetate that comes on the top of the photopolymer stamps when you first get them before you've mounted them. I usually save a couple of those pieces just so that I have them to do just that. You can just slide it right into this corner, and then it will protect the back of your envelope. What you're trying to do is keep it from bleeding through to the back, which it kind of can do. All right, so now let's take our light timid tiger, and I'm just going to, this is very highly well thought out, right? Like not. I'm going every other one. Yep. Very, very technical. Every other one. And if I mess up, I don't care. It's a butterfly. No one's going to count how its little stripes are. Because if you're one of those people who sticks a pin through a butterfly, I don't think that's very nice. I just don't. They're much prettier flitting around. I just offended all of the butterfly pinners out there probably. All right, and we'll do the one that's on the inside. The good news is we're very close to being done, y'all. Except, you know, I was thinking while I was looking at this, this is something else you could do with this, because I'm going to try it here just because, you know, I've already wasted half of your evening making a bow that should have taken me 2.8 seconds. All right, so there's that. And then I'm going to use my light Cajun craze. And I have to use the bullet end on this because my other side, is not, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. And I need to buy a new one, and I didn't. I put in an order the other day, got the free shipping. Did I get new Stampin' blends? No. Did not. What was I doing? Light Cajun craze. Yeah. Not that end. There we go. Okay. All right. But I was thinking what would be cute would be some little doodle dots around this guy, because he doesn't have, he's kind of just sitting there. So my sample will have non-doodle dots, and this will have doodle dots, and then you can decide, or doodle dot or do. Do doodle dot or don't doodle dot. Yeah, say that a few times fast. I dare you. I double dog dare you. I double dog dare you to say double doodle dots, do doodle dots or don't do doodle dots 3 or 4 or 5 times. Oh, thank you, Rue. That's sweet. I'm glad. I am so happy to hear you say that. That is nice. All right, here we go. We'll get this done. And I think I'll do doodle dots with my pecan pie Stampin' Right marker. That sounds about like a good choice. And we'll see what we can do there. Again, this is my envelope, so even though I'm coloring kind of fast, I'm not pushing down. I'm just barely touching the surface of the envelope. Okay, there we go. Now let's see, let's get this little guy out. And I'm gonna use the bullet tip, and I'm just gonna go doodle dot, 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 and there. And then we'll do the same on here. And yep, if I was gonna do my sample again, I would do the doodle dots because I kind of like them like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and put this on the inside of our card base. And I did use a little bit of DSP. I pulled out, oh Rocky, you're sweet. I pulled out some of the Timeless Plaid because it's got the colors. It's got all the right colors. And I used it on my envelope flap. You could not if you wanted to. If you didn't want to use any DSP, you could just stamp and color this this little butterfly again. But look how pretty that is. I think that goes very nicely with this card. So I used it. Use it if you got it. There we go. All right. Put this on. Oh. Get it over there. Okay. Okie dokie dokie. Okie dokie dokie. And the world's easiest fussy cut. Now I would like to tell you this is the last time I'm going to use this embossing folder, but it's not. Because I've got that piece I showed you with the secret C embossed, and then I fussy cut the top out. So I need to do something with it because it's just sitting there. All right, so there we go. I've got two cards. You can here you can kind of see the difference. Doodle dots yes, doodle dots no. You pick whichever you prefer. I appreciate y'all's patience with me, and do try a double loop linen thread bow. It is just not as hard as I made it look right there. Okay? Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. I hope I'll see you on Thursday. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to make, but I hope you'll like it when we get to it. Thanks so much, everybody. Ta.